In the 1970s, Mercedes built a car so reliable that some are still running today with no major repairs. It was called the W123, and the way it was made was legendary. This is how the Mercedes-Benz W123 was built inside their nostalgic 70s factory, step by step. Our story starts in Sindelfingen, Germany. This wasn't just any car factory, it was the largest Mercedes-Benz plant in the world, over 2.9 million square meters. For those of us over here in the States, that's roughly the same size as 400 football fields. More than 30,000 people worked there. About 22,000 of them were on the assembly line. These weren't just factory workers. A lot of them had been with Mercedes for decades. Fathers passed down their jobs to sons. People took pride in saying they worked there. This factory was known across Germany for being one of the best places to work. Back then, a worker could earn between 2,000 and 3,000 Dutch marks per month. That was enough to support an entire family. And one car, the Mercedes W123, was the result of all their effort. The process began with steel. Workers placed sheets of metal into giant machines. These machines could press down with more than 1,000 tons of force. So out came the body parts. Doors, panels, frames. The factory floor was loud, but also calm. There was no chaos, just rhythm. Next, the body came together. Floor, sides, roof, everything had to fit perfectly. If even one part were off by a few millimeters, the whole car could end up crooked. Mercedes didn't allow mistakes like that. Workers used their hands. Robots helped, but humans led the way. Over 1,000 welds were made on each body. That's how the two pieces of metal were melted together so they stayed strong. Especially in hard-to-reach places, people did the welding themselves. They checked every spot by hand. If something looked off, they fixed it immediately. Even the car's body was part of its safety system. The 123 had extra strong roof pillars, door frames, and floor panels. In the 70s, airbags were rare, so the body itself had to protect passengers in a crash. And once the shape was perfect, it was time for rust protection. But building a strong shell was only the first step. What came next would make sure the 123 could last for decades, even through rain, snow, and time. To stop the car from rusting, Mercedes took an extra careful step. The entire body was dipped into a chemical bath. This wasn't just a surface spray, it was a full dip. The liquid flowed into every small gap, even ones no human hand could reach. This rust-proofing method made sure the steel wouldn't rot from the inside. Some cheaper brands today use thinner coatings or faster methods, but back then, Mercedes did it slow and they did it right. That's why so many 123s are still not showing rust, even after 40 years. After the chemical bath, the car moved to the paint booth. Most of the painting was done by hand. Workers checked every inch for dust or marks. They used careful strokes, not fast machines. Robots are faster today, but they don't always catch small problems. The painters did. This car came in many colors: black, white, beige, gold, silver, and even greens and reds. And every single one of them was painted one at a time. After the paint was applied, the body went into a drying oven. The heat made the paint stick better and gave it a smooth shine. Once the paint dried, workers checked again. Any flaw had to be fixed. Only then could the car move forward. While that was happening, something else was going on in another part of the factory. The engine was being built. The engine didn't come from the main line. It was built with extra care and attention, and it's the reason some 123s are running after 500,000 miles. The engine for this car wasn't made on the main assembly line. It was built in a separate workshop inside the same factory. This place had only one focus: building perfect engines. And the workers there, they were some of the most experienced people in the entire plant. There were several engine options for the 123. Some ran on gas, others ran on diesel. The most famous was the 240D, a slow but incredibly strong diesel engine. Some of these engines ran for over 500,000 miles without major problems. Even today, they can still be found running in taxis, farms, and towns across the world. Building the engine started with the engine block, the main body of the motor. Then workers added pistons, crankshafts, and more. Every part had to be perfectly placed. This wasn't a job for robots or machines. It was all done by hand with tools and human eyes. This means more care and fewer mistakes. The engines were also made to be easy to fix. Mechanics didn't need computers or special tools. Parts were easy to reach, repairs were simple, and that's a lot different from modern cars where even opening the hood could be confusing. Once the engine was finished, it was tested. If it passed, it was sent to the car body. The next step was extra special. It had a name: the marriage. The marriage was more than just a connection. It was the moment the 123 became a complete car, and it had to be perfect. In the car world, the marriage is when the engine and chassis meet the car body. At the W123 factory, this was done slowly and carefully. The painted car body was lowered onto the chassis using a huge crane. Workers had to line up every bolt, pipe, and wire by hand. If even one thing didn't fit right, the car wouldn't run properly later. After that, the 123 moved down the final assembly line. Everything inside the car was added step by step. Workers followed strict checklists. They added seats, dashboards, door panels, and floor mats. Each part was installed by real people, not machines. It took upwards of 40 to 50 hours to finish one 123. That's nearly twice as long as it takes to build a modern car today. The final steps were some of the most important. First came the leak test. The entire car was sprayed with water inside a special room. A worker sat inside the car with a flashlight and checked every corner. If even a single drop came in, the problem had to be fixed right away. Then came the moment everybody waited for, the first engine start. A worker turned the key. They listened for strange sounds, checked the temperature, and watched how the engine responded. Next, the car went into a dyno machine, which let it drive without moving. This helped workers test things like acceleration, brakes, and gears. Above the assembly line, signs reminded workers of the company motto, "Only the best." This wasn't just a slogan, it was a promise. Outside the factory, the cars were parked in neat rows, waiting to be shipped across Germany, Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and North America. Some were used as luxury sedans, others became government cars or family wagons. But in many places, the 123 was best known as a taxi. In countries like Egypt, Morocco, and Turkey, these cars became legends for how long they could last. Some went over 500,000 miles on the bad roads with basic tools and just kept running. Today, you can still buy a 123. Some are well loved and cost around $5,000 to $10,000. Others in mint condition can sell for $30,000 or more. In Germany, California, and even in small towns, 123s are still out there, still running. Some sit quietly at car shows, others are parked in dusty garages, just waiting to be discovered. The 123 is more than just a car. It's a memory, a reminder of a time when quality came first, when things were made to last. And that's why the Mercedes-Benz W123 is still loved, long after the factory doors closed.